Picture this: August 15, 1969. More than 400,000 people gather on a farm in Bethel, New York, to experience what would become one of the most iconic events in music history, Woodstock. Capturing the highs, lows, and untold stories of this historic festival, photographer Baron Woolman took shots that remained hidden for decades. Only in 2014 were these images finally revealed, showing a side of Woodstock few have ever seen. Woodstock was more than just a music festival. It became the spirit of a generation, the heartbeat of the 1960s. For 3 unforgettable days, the legends of rock and roll took the stage. Jimi Hendrix electrified the crowd with his soul-stirring guitar riffs. Janis Joplin poured raw emotion into every note, and the Grateful Dead brought their unique magic to a captivated audience. But Woodstock became legendary not just for its performers but for what it symbolized. It was peace, love, rebellion, a spontaneous revolution wrapped in music. In a chaotic world marked by protests and social upheaval, Woodstock was a rare moment of unity and hope. Despite a crowd that swelled to over 400,000, there was a surprising calm that blanketed the grounds. Attendees found themselves in an unspoken pact to care for each other. People shared food, blankets, and stories, forging connections with strangers. Under the sweltering sun and pouring rain, they created a fleeting utopia, a collective experience that felt sacred, as if they'd stumbled upon a world where everyone truly belonged. For many, Woodstock was the ultimate escape from the pressures of modern life, a place where kindness came naturally, and life's usual boundaries seemed to melt away. But the magic of Woodstock came with its trials. Attendees faced miles-long traffic jams, with many abandoning their cars just to walk to the venue. Torrential rainstorms turned the grounds into a swamp, and people waded through knee-deep mud just to get close to the stage. Facilities were scarce, with only a handful of toilets and limited food. The event quickly became an exercise in resilience. Yet rather than dampening the spirit, these challenges added to Woodstock's allure. The mud became a badge of honor, the lack of comfort a symbol of commitment. Attendees didn't complain, they adapted, embracing the unpredictability as part of the adventure. This was a generation that lived with one foot in protest and the other in idealism, and Woodstock felt like the physical manifestation of both. The obstacles only fueled their determination to create a peaceful gathering, to prove that a crowd of 400,000 could live together without violence. They made their own rules, took care of one another, and showed the world what unity looked like, even if just for 3 days. In every muddy step and shared meal, Woodstock was a declaration, a moment that defied logic and gave a generation something to believe in. For those who were there, Woodstock became a touchstone, a memory they'd carry for life, a proof that harmony was possible even in the most chaotic of times. In an era of division, Woodstock's legacy was that it offered a glimpse of another way to live, a reminder that sometimes the simplest of things, like sharing a meal or dancing in the rain, can unite people in ways that words never could. Today, Woodstock remains a symbol not only of a generation but of the unbreakable power of music, love, and human connection. Woolman's photos capture the contrasting spirit of Woodstock, the raw joy and the undeniable strain of the festival. In one image, revelers spin and sway in the mud, blissfully unaware of the grime and exhaustion. Yet in another, a small group sits quietly, their faces serious, almost weary, hinting at the exhaustion that pervaded the scene. They were soaked to the skin, aching from hours of walking and standing, but determined to stay. Each photo conveys a story of sacrifice, of people willing to push past discomfort and fatigue for a fleeting taste of unity and freedom. One of Woolman's most striking images is that of abandoned cars stretching for miles. People simply left them where they stalled, choosing to hike the remaining distance rather than risk missing even a single song. It was chaos mixed with a desperate dedication to be part of something unforgettable. Woodstock was also a sanctuary of self-expression that went far beyond the music. People embraced the festival as a chance to shed social norms. Sometimes quite literally, skinny dipping in nearby ponds became almost ritualistic, a way to connect with nature and embrace freedom. Woolman's photos show clusters of festival-goers by the water, their laughter and ease radiating a sense of liberation. But not everyone saw this freedom through the same lens. The media, quick to sensationalize, zoomed in on what they considered the festival's darker side, reports of rampant drug use, nudity, and what they painted as lawless behavior. To many outsiders, Woodstock became a cautionary tale, a hippie invasion. that threatened traditional values and underscored societal fears about the growing counterculture. And yet, even in the midst of this perceived chaos, a unique order emerged. Woolman's camera captured moments of spontaneous camaraderie, strangers becoming friends over shared food or stories, bonded by an experience unlike any other. Some photos show small groups huddled together under makeshift tents or sharing sips from a single water bottle. These were moments of survival and solidarity of people who, despite the mud and mayhem, found beauty in shared hardships. In one photo, a woman draped in a soaked shawl smiles as she hands a blanket to a shivering stranger. It's a simple act, but one that captures the heart of Woodstock, a place where people gave freely, cared for each other, and created an unexpected sense of home amidst the chaos. As Woolman's images reveal, Woodstock was more than just a music festival, it was an unscripted experiment in freedom and self-expression. Behind every joyful dancer and serious face, there was a deeper story, one of individuals coming together in a way that would be impossible to replicate. The chaos didn't detract from Woodstock's magic, it was the very thing that made it real. This wasn't a polished event, it was messy, raw, and unpredictable, embodying the spirit of a generation unafraid to reject societal rules in favor of something true and unfiltered. Despite the spirit of unity, Woodstock had its dark moments, reminding everyone that even in a gathering meant for peace, tragedy can strike. 2 lives were lost in vastly different, heartbreaking ways. One attendee died from a heroin overdose, a somber reminder of the drug culture that both liberated and endangered young people of the era. Another was crushed in a tragic accident involving a tractor while he slept, an innocent victim in a scene that otherwise symbolized love and camaraderie. Amidst the sorrow, however, there were new beginnings. 2 babies were born in the middle of this chaotic, muddy field, adding a surreal touch to the Woodstock experience. These births were symbols of hope and renewal, as if the universe was balancing the losses with life's most tender moments. Can you imagine it? Amidst the rain-soaked fields and music echoing through the hills, the cries of newborns filled the air, bringing a momentary hush over the crowd. The challenges of Woodstock were relentless. With just 600 toilets for hundreds of thousands, attendees were forced to find creative solutions to maintain even the basics of hygiene. Long lines stretched through the muddy fields, and as supplies ran low, people adapted, forming makeshift shelters and sharing food with strangers. This struggle created an unexpected sense of community. Strangers became friends as they waited together, bonded by the absurdity of their situation. They huddled under tarps, pooled resources, and made the best of every moment, turning adversity into a shared experience of resilience and kindness. Woodstock wasn't just a festival, it was a miniature society with all the highs and lows, the joys and sorrows of a real community. The tragedies were not swept aside but instead woven into the tapestry of the weekend, becoming part of Woodstock's legacy, a legacy that embraced life in all its unpredictability, from birth to death, all set to the soundtrack of a generation's dreams. Beyond the mud and the music, Woodstock's impact on American culture was seismic. It wasn't just a festival, it was a flashpoint, a moment that broke the mold of tradition and embraced a spirit of rebellion and hope. While many concerts came and went, Woodstock transformed music into a movement, a force of unity that challenged societal norms and bridged generations. For 3 unforgettable days, music transcended the stage, blending with the ideals of peace and community to create a vision of a different world. Photographer Baron Woolman's images immortalized Woodstock's raw, vibrant essence. His photos didn't just capture crowds, they captured a mindset, a shared dream. With every shot of muddy feet, wild dancing, and exhausted faces, Woolman chronicled the highs and lows, the chaos and calm that characterized the era. Each picture feels like a snapshot of freedom, a beautiful rebellion against the constraints of the time. In a world full of rules, Woodstock was the exception, a place where strangers became friends, where joy and hardship coexisted, and where music was both an escape and a call to action. But Woodstock's legacy is as complex as it is enduring. While it symbolized harmony and love, it also embodied the struggle for change, a reminder of how fleeting moments can inspire lasting ideals. Woodstock wasn't a utopia, it was messy, raw, and filled with imperfections. The rain-soaked fields, the lack of facilities, the shared discomforts, all were part of an experience that made people feel more alive, more connected. For those who were there, it was a slice of paradise, flawed but unforgettable. Decades later, Woodstock remains a symbol of what can happen when people come together with a shared purpose. In a divided world, the festival's message of unity and collective spirit continues to resonate. The photos from that weekend capture more than just an event, they capture a movement, a declaration of hope that transcends time. Woodstock's legacy isn't just about the music or the mud, it's about the belief that, even in a chaotic world, peace and love can still take center stage.